I'm going to take one more question, and then I'm going to turn it over to Josh. One last one. Go ahead.
Mr. President, the Republican frontrunner today outlined his plan to pay for the wall on the border, which includes barring undocumented immigrants in the U.S. from sending money back home. What would be the real implication of this plan, and are his foreign policy proposals already doing damage to U.S. relations abroad?
The answer to the latter question is yes. I think that I've been very clear earlier that I am getting questions constantly from foreign leaders about some of the wackier suggestions that are being made. I do have to emphasize that it's not just Mr. Trump's proposals. I mean, you're also hearing concerns about Mr. Cruz's proposals, which in some ways are just as draconian when it comes to immigration, for example. The implications with respect to ending remittances, many of which, by the way, are from legal immigrants and from individuals who are sending money back to their families, are enormous. First of all, they're impractical. We just talked about the difficulties of trying to enforce huge outflows of capital. The notion that we're going to track every Western Union a bit of money that's being sent to Mexico, good luck with that. Then we've got the issue of the implications for the Mexican economy, which in turn, if it's collapsing, actually sends more immigrants north because they can't find jobs back in Mexico. But this is just one more example of something that is not thought through and is primarily put forward for political consumption. And as I've tried to emphasize throughout, we've got serious problems here. We've got big issues around the world. People expect the President of the United States and the elected officials in this country to treat these problems seriously, to put forward policies that have been examined, analyzed, are effective, where unintended consequences are taken into account. They don't expect half-baked notions coming out of the White House. We can't afford that. All right? Turn it over to Josh. Thank you, guys.
All right, that was President Obama talking first on the economy, touting his performance on jobs and the growth that we've seen there. But he moved on to reiterate the Treasury Department's crackdown on these so-called tax inversions. And we've got Congressman Duffy on the couch today. This has become a very hot topic on the campaign trail. And just to make this simple for those who don't talk about this every day, this is U.S.-based corporations who have an obligation to their shareholders to increase profits the best they know how. They legally took advantage of this loophole in our tax system, whereby they can buy a smaller foreign-based company, re-headquarter overseas, and lower their tax burden here at home. Those profits still coming back to America. President Obama has a major problem with that, and it looks like there's change coming quickly.
And no wonder, because we pay, what, 35% in our corporate tax rate. You're going to places like Ireland where they pay 15% in their tax rate. That's a huge difference if you're a corporation. Mm-hmm. And then you tax and regulate these businesses more. Of course, they're going to leave America. And so the natural response to this problem of inversion should be, let's fix our tax code. And I just mentioned before, Paul Ryan, who wants to rewrite the tax code, has been trying to negotiate with the president. Let's reduce our taxes, not just for corporations, but for individuals. And the president will have nothing to do with it. He's all about raising taxes, more regulation, driving businesses overseas, and killing the small people that work in these places.
It's so interesting, the timing that you're talking about this, because you hear Paul Ryan's name being talked about coming onto the horizon. And who else has been talking about this since the beginning is Donald Trump. Also Bernie Sanders, right? So right on the heels of the Wisconsin primary, or on the day of, he's talking kind of the everyman. I'm looking out for those people who are playing by the rules and working hard and making sure that big corporations do that. But the president said that he needs Congress. He needs you in order to do this. Does he? And how much does he? Well,
he does. If we want to do substantial tax reform, we need each other.
Okay, but not just for this one part. He doesn't need you.
For this one part, he doesn't, to use the Treasury Department to go after companies. But if you want to actually make America grow again, if you want to put people back to work, if you want to increase their wages, you want to make America the home for capital, you want to have the best place for capital, which is a lower tax rate and better regulation. And he doesn't buy into that idea.
But he sounds like he hasn't been in office for 8 years. I mean, he put together the Simpson-Bowles Commission, and they came back with a very, I think, good starting point. I mean, there's not a lot that both sides would agree on, but at least it was a starting point, Congressman, and that would have effectively brought down the corporate tax rate to 26%. It's almost at 40 now, the highest in the country. President Obama did nothing with that bipartisan report. This is a president, too, that circumvents Congress, so I find it ironic that all of a sudden he says, I need Congress to act. It's never stopped him before from acting, so he's the one that didn't take any action on the Simpson-Bowles plan. Congress was willing to do it. And so if anyone is to blame for a high corporate tax rate, it's him.
All right. And by the way, I should say this all happening as one of the biggest takeover deals in history is being called into question because of this announcement from the Treasury Department. Pfizer and Allergan, an Ireland-based company, $160 billion deal. A lot of people watching that. All right, well, Donald Trump calling on perhaps his biggest supporter, his wife Melania, now out on the campaign trail. Can she help her husband reverse his slide among women voters? We'll discuss.